first off, how did it come to pass? You get a phone call on a random day. Hey, Devin, we need you to take a little trip. Where? Pasadena, California. To do what? Introduce the NAACP Chairman of the Board, Leon Russell. To do what? Oh, just present the Chairman's Award. Oh, to whom? Vice President Kamala Harris. Yeah, very simple right there. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so this came about last week on Thursday around 1:30 after I just came out of class. I just got people from her personnel from her office reached out and they wanted me to had an opportunity for me. And essentially they said call the office back, which I did, call the office back, and then they told me about the opportunity to that Kamala Harris, she's won the chairperson's award from the NAACP and she'll be presented at the Image Awards, and they wanted me to be the presenter to present that award to her. And I was like, sure. They asked so, and I was like, well, let me go find out if I'm free. So I'll check my calendar. I was for the next weekend. I was like, well, nothing's up, so I guess I'm ready to go. And then I told him I'll definitely be able to make it. And then this was last Thursday. And then essentially from that Thursday throughout that weekend, I was looking for tuxedo, looking for suits to wear, outfits to wear for the whole week. And then because I'm part of the NAACP, I have friends who help with the NAACP Image Awards year to year, and I've asked them what what's the style, what's the look, how did all that go about. So, and then that's how that went down, and also coordination with like traveling in the hotel stay. So that's why I'm wearing this sweatshirt, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. They paid for my whole travel to get there, and so they covered the hotel as well as the food as well. So that was really inclusive, as well as the flight there too. And they also paid for the tuxedo. So that was a really great time to be there to represent, and more than anything, to just represent what Black excellence look like, and help just really just be positive examples to students, and not just students at Central, but students all around the country, and then young people around the country as well, that you can do it too, and you can be in these same spaces, and it's really about putting in the work, believing in yourself, and always betting on yourself all the time.
Now, I do have to ask for those of you who may or may not know that Devin just said he had to check in with a few other people about some of the latest styles and trends for tuxedos. Now, this young man right here, who is a style exemplar himself, I'm a little perplexed about him checking in with somebody on the latest trends because last time I checked, people check in with him on the trends. So, what did you learn checking in with whom?
So I was checking in with Wisdom Cole. He's higher up within the NAACP. He used to be the national director for youth in college, and I've known him ever since freshman year, being a part of the NAACP, and then attending virtual sessions, going to meetings, doing a lot of like the grassroots works, and even organizing national campaigns and speaking at the podium, for and doing marches and rallies in DC. So we know each other for quite a while, and I was asking about how does how many outfits do I need throughout the week because of different the different receptions that happen each day, as well as the red carpet events that happen. So not necessarily about style, but more so just about like what outfits to bring. So literally the past weekend, the week before that, I just went shopping for like different brunch styles, as well as like I have 15 suits. So suits was fine. I was thinking about getting a new one, like a dark gray one, which looked really neat, but go wait for a graduation. But I just rock one of my older ones and I changed the accessories on it. So I always try to tell people like, always rock something that is your look. And then on top of that, getting fitted for suits is a great deal as well. And then also investing into your look. Like when you look good, you feel good, you do good. So that's what I always try to tell people.
And this young man invests in his look. I've had the high honor and great privilege of seeing just a small portion of his business attire wardrobe prior to this past year's Democratic National Convention, and it is grade A. And that was just a snippet of it. So, yes, I know he was ready to go. So, you mentioned some of the events, a few days worth of events beyond the actual presentation itself. When you introduced Chairman Russell and then he presented the Chairman's Award to Vice President Harris, what other events were there? Did you have an opportunity other than that moment on stage to interact with Vice President Harris and or anyone else?
Yeah. So throughout the week, there's events, receptions that happen at night. So I went to from on Thursday. So I got there that Thursday morning, and then there was nothing in the morning. So what I did was I just toured LA. So touring LA was pretty fun. And then later in that afternoon and evening, I was getting prepared to go to the reception, which was the first night. And I did. I went down and I met up with like a lot of executives, met up with a lot of producers of the shows. Also met the full cast of Bel Air, which is great. I watched that TV show, so I've seen all 3 seasons and then talking to their production people, which is great. The actors are really cool, even in person, outside just the show. And then like going on to that Friday evening. Well, what happened was early Friday morning, I had rehearsals. So before they do like shows like that, there's rehearsing call time. So my call time was like at 11:30. So I picked up from which was that was paid for. So I got picked up by SUV, took me to the place, and then I got there at 11, and then 11:30 we're setting time for rehearsal. So rehearse with and with Leon Russell. Leon Russell came later, but what we did was different takes on what we wanted to see and actually do. So that was pretty neat. We did 3 different takes about how they wanted what would look best for the show. And so that was pretty cool. So I had a great interaction with him. I also gifted him my children's book, just thanking him all the work that he does. And it was cool just developing like that personal connection. And then I also was able to meet Derek Johnson too. And it was great. The president of the NAACP, and seeing him do what he does, and also gave him one of my books just as a gift. And then that ended, and then around 12 went back 8, and then I also went to the creative that reception was like the creative reception, so creative honors. So they're honoring all the other smaller award, not smaller awards, but other awards that want to be on like the main show. So that was neat going and talking. Met a lot of people. I mean, I was able to meet Method Man. I met Dave Chappelle. I also met Kerry Washington. I mean, it was cool seeing all that, see all them people there, and also got to walk the red carpet, which is really neat. And then going into that Saturday, right before went down there around like three right before 5, and then uh once we got there, it was they started doing the show, so the show happened, and then after I presented, I went backstage. They wanted me to go backstage and have a shot with Kamala Harris. So I went backstage and we talked briefly. I got pictures of Chloe Bailey and her sister. And then after that, they want to have a conversation between me and her, and also between Derek Johnson as well as with the Chairman Leon Russell. Which
That's how much he's been traveling. He's still catching up from the jet lag.
Yeah, I am. And so we talked, and then we talked, and that was a great time as well. We talked on the way from where we're sitting right before we went to the we are doing photo ops, but it was a great conversation. She was just asking me like how school was. We were catching up on things before, asked her how she was doing after everything. So it was a great time. And then we took pictures on stage with me with the Ward and she and her there too. So it was great.
What does it mean in that moment? You go back and watch the video, and when Vice President Harris accepted the chairman's award, she made a point of saying, and Devin, I'm so proud of you. I know that this country's future is in good hands. To a worldwide audience, to be called by name and linked to the future being in good hands by the vice president in that moment and thereafter reflecting upon it, what does that mean to you?
Man, it is that it means a lot in so many words, and it's even hard to describe in words in itself, right? But one of the first things that came to mind when I was there in that moment, and she said that was like, wow, like for her. Well, first off, for her to think about me, to invite me there, and I mean, I understood why, just like being one of the only youth surrogates within the country for her campaign, as well as being one of the youngest delegates within the DNC convention to be there and then to be able to speak for her and be able to like support in all her ways. And she invited me, the HBC student as well, to highlight just like what excellence looks like. And also for when I think of, that moment, I think about just, me as a black man as well as just me in college as well. And I think of like how much of, I didn't realize of as I'm an inspiration to others and just in my field. And then also like how I'm able to like help the narrative of like young people as well as other demographics and races that we can really make the change that we want to see in the world. And for me, it showcases that I have a lot more work to do, and I also can aspire to be in offices that she's in, and in a way, I emulate that because when I look at things, I look at history, like the pathway has already been set. If you ever want to look at how successful people get and I read a lot of biographies and they speak on just how you know these are the traditional ways. There's also like non-traditional. So I'm glad to being able to be a example to not only take the non-traditional path of getting to where I'm at and getting and be able to get to that moment where she was able to say that to me, because I wouldn't have been able to be at that moment if it wasn't prior to smaller things that led me to that moment. And so I always try to tell people like before before anything. I love Kamala Harris. I love everybody, but I always try to say is like you're a success long before anyone else acknowledges you, long before the world acknowledges you. And you gotta believe it, you gotta walk it, you gotta speak it, because there's power in the tongue. What you speak to life can come into fruition. So I'm glad that she recognizes it as well as other people, and that the world sees that.